Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the psychological thriller. We're going to find out what makes them tick. What are the secret ingredients that keep you glued to your seat, heart pounding? And we're going to do it by breaking down one brand new, absolutely gripping story. Let's dive in.
You hear that? That's how it starts. With this false promise of safety. You have this character looking for peace, but that last line, that little twist, it's a warning. We know right from the jump that her quiet little sanctuary is about to become a prison.
So, how do they do it? How do writers and storytellers build that incredible edge-of-your-seat suspense? Is there, like, a formula? Well, kinda. And we're going to use a fantastic new thriller as our blueprint to see exactly how all the pieces fit together.
See, the real magic of a psychological thriller is that it's all about the internal battle. It's not just about a monster chasing you through the woods. It's about your own mind turning against you, the fear, the doubt, the paranoia. That's where the real horror is, because the scariest monsters are the ones you can't see.
And the story we're going to be picking apart today is The Intruder by Freida McFadden. Trust me, it is the perfect case study for this. It's got all those classic elements that make this genre just so addictive.
Every great thriller needs a killer setup, and the first job is always to make your hero vulnerable. You got to strip away their safety net. And one of the most effective, most brutal ways to do that? Total and complete isolation.
And here we go. Our protagonist, Casey, she's actually seeking it out. She wants to be alone, to get away from chaos. The author puts her in a remote cabin during a hurricane, no less. She is completely cut off, which means whatever happens next, she's on her own.
So let's look at how these pieces work together to build that feeling of dread. The cabin becomes a trap. The hurricane outside, that's not just weather, it's a perfect mirror for the storm that's about to erupt inside the cabin and inside her head. And that line about wanting peace, it's basically a giant flashing sign telling us she's about to get the exact opposite. But the scariest part of all this, she is completely, utterly alone. Okay, the stage is set. The trap is laid. Now all you need is that one little spark to light the fuse. That's the catalyst. The inciting incident, the one moment where absolutely everything changes. The classic knock at the door. But look how this story twists it. It's not some shadowy figure. It's a kid, a little girl, soaking wet, terrified, silent, and holding a knife. The mystery doesn't just knock, it walks right in.
I mean, this one image just floods your brain with questions, right? Who is she? Is she a victim, or is she a threat herself? The knife screams danger, but her eyes scream fear. And her silence, that's the worst part. It forces you and Casey to imagine the absolute worst possible scenarios.
So, we have the setup and the catalyst. But how does a thriller keep that feeling going? How does it keep that knot in your stomach tight for the whole story? Let's get into the nitty-gritty, the actual techniques used to craft that atmosphere.
This right here is the toolkit. The narration uses these short, punchy sentences that feel frantic. The sound design is constantly working on you. The storm, the house creaking. And underneath it all, there's this faint, rhythmic drumming, almost like a heartbeat, that gets your own heart racing. But you know what's sometimes even more terrifying than sound? Silence. A perfectly timed pause can be absolutely chilling.
And this narrative trick, using a line like, "I write this now, trembling," it's brilliant. It makes everything feel so immediate. It's like you found a lost diary and you're reading this desperate story as it's happening. You're not just watching Casey be afraid, you are right there in the room, feeling it with her.
So all this tension, all this buildup, it has to go somewhere. Every thriller pushes toward that one single moment of explosion. The peak, the point where the threat finally steps out of the shadows and into the light. This is the climax. This line is a total game changer. Think about that shift. Survival isn't just an option anymore, it's a choice. That means it's no longer a passive question of if she'll make it out alive. It becomes an active question of what she's willing to do to survive. The mind games are over. Now it's a physical fight for her life.
And here it is, the final conflict, laid bare. Casey, the woman who just wanted to be left alone, is now fiercely protecting someone, and the intruder's words confirm our worst nightmare. That single act of kindness, letting the girl in, has put her directly in the crosshairs. The mystery's gone. It's just a fight to the death.
But here's the thing. A really good psychological thriller doesn't end when the fight is over. No, the real punch comes from the aftermath, from that shadow that trauma leaves behind long after the danger is gone.
So on the surface, we get a resolution. The storm is over. She's safe. In a normal action movie, this is where the credits would roll. But a psychological thriller? It's way more interested in the scars you can't see.
The storm outside is finished, sure, but the storm inside? That never really goes away. This story gets that trauma leaves a permanent mark. That fear might always be there, but maybe it can be transformed. Endure a reminder of your own strength. The real win isn't just surviving, it's being resilient. And that's the thought we're left with. A great thriller does more than just scare you for a couple of hours. It gets under your skin. It makes you question your own sense of safety, because it reminds us that sometimes the most terrifying thing isn't the monster at the door, it's the echo of fear that stays with you long after it's gone.